Namaste, Acharyaji. What is the Vajrayana Buddhist tradition? How does it relate to Sanatana Dharma? What's your answer to those who say there is no self? Very good. So two questions, slightly related. First of all, Vajrayana Buddhism is a very watered down version of what was there purely previous to Vajrayana Buddhism and what is indeed known as Sanatana Dharma. It's important to keep in mind that not just when speaking about Vajrayana Buddhism, but Theravada, Mahayana, all the various modern strands of Buddhism. And it may surprise you because I don't recognize your name, if you have not been here before, it may surprise you that I'm using the word modern. Most people who use the word modern are talking about the last 200 years. I tend to use it in the last 2,000 years. Most modern Buddhism is actually not the teaching of Gautama Buddha. And I'm not going to go deeply into this only because we have several videos where I do. Indeed, we have one video that is an interview that I did where I speak about this very in depth for an hour. Gautama Buddha himself was a follower of Sanatana Dharma. Just like we say, Jesus was not a Christian. In the same way, the Buddha was not a Buddhist. The Buddha was not a follower of Vajrayana or Mahayana or Theravada or any of these more modern concoctions within the Buddhist fold. Rather, the Buddha himself was a follower of Sanatana Dharma. There's no one who disagrees with this who understands Buddhism. There's no scholar, there's no serious leader or teacher of Buddhism who disagrees with this. The Buddha himself was born in the Shakya clan, which was a Vedic clan. He himself never renounced Sanatana Dharma during his life, and indeed, so much so that for roughly at least 200 to 300 years after the Buddha left the world, the Vedic community accepted Buddhists as just another offshoot of Sanatana Dharma. So this is the first thing to understand. As far as Vajrayana Buddhism, this is a much, 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 much later, watered-down version of what was there originally in the Vedic ritual, in yogic practice, indeed, even in tantric practice. We know that Vajrayana Buddhism, very specifically, is a tantric path. And it's very, very diverse as well. See, you're speaking to somebody who I have a PhD in languages and cultures of Asia, having focused on philosophy of religion and religious studies. And I've studied Buddhism very, very in depth. And when it comes to Vajrayana Buddhism, it is essentially a form of tantric Buddhism, some of it dark, some of it light, etc. Again, there are many different strands that are there. But very little of which, other than the creation, let's say, of new deities, very little of it is anything original. Indeed, especially the light side, not the dark side, but the light side especially, goes back to Sanatana Dharma. So as far as Vajrayana Buddhist, how does it relate to Sanatana Dharma? Let me put it this way. You can have a dictionary that is tiny. That's tiny. Or you can have this. You can have this. This is Sanatana Dharma. The pocket dictionary is Vajrayana Buddhism and every other path that came an infinite amount of time after Sanatana Dharma. Now, as far as what is your answer to those who say there is no self, I don't have an answer. I give the Vedic answer. And the Vedic answer very simply is this, that there is an inherent contradiction in seeking the liberation of a being who does not exist. There is inherent contradiction in trying to end the suffering, which is what the Buddha taught, to end the suffering of a being who does not exist, so thus in reality is not suffering. If there is a being who is suffering, and thus whose suffering needs to cease via nirvana or nibbana, that being the case, there must be a being who is there. Very simple. And without which, the entire enterprise of seeking nirvana is meaningless and is rendered meaningless.